Hello everybody and welcome to another episode of Two Asian Blokes podcast, a podcast where we talk about Asian pop culture, films, TV shows, comic books, anime, games, music, food, whatever we're feeling at the time really. My name is Dan with H and with me as always is my co-host Harvey. Celebrating Lunar New Year. Happy Lunar New Year.
Oh, that's right, yes. Chinese New Year. What is it the year? It's the Year of the Tiger.
Year of the Tiger, right? Yes. In honor of the Year of the Tiger, we're going to be reviewing the movie The Tiger, a South Korean film. As always, or as usual, we're going to talk about, I guess, non-spoilers first and then spoilers after, and we'll give you fair warning before we start spoiling it.
Yeah, well, we chose this film because of the Year of the Tiger, and it's also, we couldn't find any, we couldn't think of any movies
it's hard. It's hard to find movies about Lunar New Year. Surprisingly hard. They should make more of them.
I'm sure there is.
Well, I wanted to do Dragon Tiger Gate, but you vetoed that.
I did veto that. I did. The movie I watched Dragon Tiger Gate, or the first 20 minutes of it.
Yeah.
Like a couple months back, and I was just like, "Yeah, I think I'm gonna stop." It hasn't aged very well.
I can't imagine it has. Everyone's overly cool in that film.
They're so overly cool that it's kind of like it's lame.
I just remember like every time Donnie Yen rushes into a scene, there's like wind like sweeping his long hair back, and he's got that like fighting style that's very kind of hectic.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Do you normally celebrate Lunar New Year or Chinese New Year?
We don't particularly. Like, we will go if there is a party, because some of our family and friends like are really into it. Because some of them, they do have like some Chinese blood in them, so they will celebrate it a bit more. But yeah, we might have a slightly more luxurious dinner. But other than that, not really.
You don't have any Chinese family members, right?
Nah, okay. I'm pure. I'm purist, straight up Lao blood.
I got a bit on my mum's side. You don't need to give red packets, so that's a plus. But you also don't get any red packets, so...
Yeah, I'm too broke to fucking give red packets, man.
Yeah. I just don't visit my Chinese relatives this time of year.
Do you hide?
Yeah, they got too many kids now. It used to be fun when I was just getting all the red packets, but now they've got too many kids, so I'd be obligated to give them money. Nah. Not going to happen, kids.
So yeah, let's talk about
The Tiger.
This is a director, Park Hoon-juk. He's a director and a screenplay writer. He's written some very good films. He did I Saw the Devil.
I saw he was a writer on that. I assumed Kim Ji-won wrote it. I guess maybe he co-wrote it.
No, I think he just directed it. Maybe he co-wrote it as well. Yeah. He also directed Night in Paradise, which I mentioned in my special mentions of Best of 20.
Yeah, you like that
21. Yeah, it's quite good. He also did another movie called The Witch. Not the Robert Eggers one. The Witch. That's also a good movie. Right. The Witch Part 1, The Subversion, which is like a Spriggan-esque tale, if people who are listening know what Spriggan is.
Okay.
And he did a gangster movie called New World, which was pretty well received. And I saw years and years ago.
Was that the movie he did before this one, before The Tiger?
Yeah, it was pretty much 2 years before The Tiger. But yeah, and it's also got some other actors that we'd seen before.
My boy, Choi Min-sik is in this.
One of the greatest Korean actors of all time.
The Daniel Day-Lewis of Korea.
Daniel Day-Lewis of Korea, yes.
He's so good.
Yeah, he does these roles. He just does all his roles really well.
It's just something very captivating about all his characters.
Yeah.
He's the guy from Old Boy, if some people might not be aware of his works. Old Boy. He's also in I Saw the Devil, right?
Yeah, that's it. That's right. For fans of Western movies, you might have seen him in that Scarlett Johansson movie.
Lucy. Bad film.
Yeah, I haven't seen it. Not going to.
I think he's all right. Yeah. I think he's just Choi Min-sik in it. He doesn't speak English in it, I think. He's just...
Yeah, just be yourself.
Yeah.
He's like, okay.
Who else is in this?
the dude from My Name, the soccer coach.
Kim Sung-ho, yes.
Yeah, Kim Sung-ho. Not actually a soccer coach, he looks like one.
Yeah.
He played the chief inspector in My Name.
Head of the narcotics division.
Yes. Wow, that was a long time ago we watched that now. But yeah, this movie, giving it a brief synopsis, it's about Choi Min-sik's character, who is a hunter named Chun Man-duk, and he's basically being called out to hunt the last tiger in South Korea during the Japanese occupation, the 1920s. So another stellar representation of Japanese people in this movie. As always, you've got your classic trader Korean guy,
right?
Who doesn't
do that
much.
much. He doesn't do that much in this film. Actually, the villainy of the Japanese soldiers is pretty underplayed. I think it's not really a main focus of the film.
I think the antagonist of this movie is the scarred guy, Go Gyeong. He's basically, I think, an old mate of Choi Min-sik's character.
Yeah, a fellow hunter.
And basically, the Japanese are trying to capture this last tiger of Korea.
Dubbed the Lord of the Mountain by the locals.
The cinematography is very much like The Revenant. Just a lot of natural scenery, a lot of snow.
The setting is quite similar as well. Snowy mountain forests, yeah.
And the premise is really cool, I think. I was really looking forward to watching this because I like these kind of one versus one rival movies.
Sure,
Like, if you think of like Face Off or even like The Prestige, in a sense that's like two...
Like a battle of...
really strong forces that go against each other. But, when I watched it, I think it's an alright movie. I think there are a number of issues I have with this movie, and this is going to sound odd for me to say. I think it's a bit slow, too slow for this kind of movie.
Yeah.
Much of the story is people trying to get Choi Min-sik to hunt the tiger and him saying no.
Sure.
For more than half the movie.
Right.
I mean, you do see his reasoning for not wanting to do it. But I think in terms of pacing, it's probably like you're basically watching an active character, I guess.
I would say that there are probably 3 acts to this film. The first act is by far the longest, and it's basically a human drama where people are trying to get Chun Man-duk on board onto this hunt. But I didn't mind it actually. Because I think if the way that it's kind of framed, like you called it, like this kind of one-on-one story, if you go in expecting that, I feel like maybe it might drag a bit. Yeah. Because, you don't really get to that part until, like, the third act.
Yeah, it's the very
It's
end.
kind of like this long human drama, followed by a bit of action, followed by, like, a melodrama at the end. It kind of reminded me of, the movie Mandy?
Yeah, Mandy. That movie's sick.
Yeah, but that's kind of similar. Like, the first part is a lot longer than I remember. It takes a long time for him to actually start hunting like the antagonists.
The thing about Mandy is it's got a very clear like 2-act structure. It's almost like a play, and it's coupled with some very strong visuals. And pretty fantastic over the top Nicolas Cage performance, and some pretty absurd fight sequences. But actually, like getting back to the tiger. I really like the action sequences in this movie. Watching the tiger kind of just mauling a bunch of people is always cool.
This tiger is absurd as well. He's like the John Wick of tigers.
The John Wick of tigers. I think, though, the first time you see the tiger maul a bunch of cunts, basically, I think that scene is a little bit too unrealistic. The way that the tiger, before he kind of kills everyone, he like stands on this rock and really makes himself
very cinematic.
I know, because in the scene there is like a bunch of soldiers and a group of hunters, and quite a lot of them. They all have guns, and I know that they're scared. But like,
what are their guns for, if not to shoot this tiger when they see him?
Like he's basically there, clear as day. Like there's another scene where it makes more sense that the tiger can go around and kill people.
Sure.
Because the vision's low, but this is like, he's like gloating,
Yeah. Well, maybe it had, that aura that makes people freeze. I don't know. But I think a main a big criticism of this film was how unrealistic the tiger was in this fairly grounded, otherwise film.
Yeah.
It would be fine if the film itself was like more fantastical, but because the rest of the film is quite like realistic, the fact that the tiger's actions are pretty unrealistic is a little bit jarring, I guess. So I guess, did you find that the case for...
Well, I didn't mind like all the human elements of the tiger, you know, because the tiger is basically retaliating because the Japanese have killed his mate and his cubs. So he's understandably a bit pissed off.
Sure.
But there is basically a bond between the main character, Chun-man-duk, and the tiger. And I didn't mind those interactions because you can't let too much realism can, like, you know, halt the story in a sense.
Sure.
And I don't think they were going for too much realism. But I think, yeah, I was just saying before how unrealistic it was. But that stuff is just kind of advancing the story. Whereas the tiger mauling is more just like cinematic fun.
Yeah, right.
So it kind of didn't make too much sense, but you kind of go for the ride with it. Because, like, yeah, the action's pretty well directed. The gore effects are all right.
I like the ragdoll effects. I really enjoyed him just chucking guys around. That was fun.
And like ripping people's arms off and shit.
Yeah.
It's not your Disney movie, that's for sure.
And I think a big strength of the film is like, because in the first act, the way they use the tiger, it's pretty sparse. Like, you don't really see it clearly that much. It's kind of like Jaws in that way, I guess. And then when it does get to that scene where you first see the tiger just rip through a bunch of people, it just makes it a lot more gratifying because, yeah, you haven't seen it do that much until now.
Yeah, there's not too much action. As I said, a lot of this movie is Choi Min-sik rejecting offers to go fight the tiger. But there are
what did you think about the human story at the start? It's basically Chun-man-duk and his son kind of interacting. There's a lot of interactions between those two.
I like the scenes with the son, but I think it could have been a little bit more efficient. I kind of found the son a little bit annoying.
He's good, man. I like the son.
I think his character is annoying. But I think that's just kind of how it's supposed to be.
It depends where you're, like, in what kind of lens you're seeing him. I think a lot of younger viewers would probably relate to his character. It's kind of like, basically, Choi Min-sik's character is like old hunter, but he doesn't really hunt anymore. And he and his son kind of go through life by, gathering, I guess, rather than hunting.
Medicine.
Yeah. And the son doesn't really want to live like that. Like, he can understand why his dad would want to live like that, but he himself would rather, like, hunt and live well. So it's kind of like, it's that kind of case of the older person who's had his time, you know, like he's had his heyday, but is it fair for him to kind of force that lifestyle onto his son when his son might not necessarily want to live like that? So, yeah, I don't know. I appreciated the kid's viewpoint.
Well, didn't he just want to bone that chick, and that's why he went?
Well, he
that's
liked
part of it as well.
Yeah, that's part of it. He liked the girl, and he wanted to marry that girl. I don't know if it was all his dick doing the talking.
I think Dunnan is primitive in the
yeah. I mean, he's
mind.
a teenager. He's a teenager. You know, he's got. Of course, that's going to be a factor. But yeah, like it's just him being frustrated with getting forced into a lifestyle that he doesn't really want.
Yeah.
But being too young to do anything about it, I guess.
Yeah, no, that's fair enough.
And that kind of drives the main conflict.
I think I wanted to just see like more rivalry
tiger
between the tiger and Choi Min-sik. I don't know, maybe if I'd watch this again under a different lens, I might like it more. But I was kind of expecting... I mean, I haven't really watched this movie in a long time, like The Ghost in the Darkness.
Right,
Remember that movie?
Yeah, I remember. Yeah, Michael Douglas, right?
Yeah, that movie's got a really... like one of the best titles for a movie ever. Wasn't that well received. It's mostly been forgotten, but like, yeah.
I remember it being all right.
Yeah, I watched that movie too, and I remember, I think I saw it like 20 years ago, and I really enjoyed it as a kid.
Does that have Val Kilmer in it?
Yeah, it's Val Kilmer, Michael Douglas. Michael Douglas is basically the old hunter who's just got this vendetta against these two lions. But yeah, I don't know. I just thought the first act was a bit too slow. And then by the time Choi Min-sik, or Munduk, I guess I should call it the character's name, by the time he actually decides to do something, it's like halfway through the movie.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, it's pretty long. I think that's when the movie actually starts, is after the first act. It's weird because, I usually like watching these human dramas and whatnot. I've gone into a lot of movies where I've expected something and it's turned out different, but I've still really enjoyed it. Let's say, like Drive or Peak, for example.
Maybe the human story wasn't as engaging as it could have been. Because there's a bit happening there. Like you've got, I think the main rivalry at the start is between Gu-gyong, the scarred guy, and the tiger. But yeah, they don't really focus on that either at the start.
Well, they set up a lot of these kind of little side stories that don't really get much attention. They're pretty underdeveloped. Like there's the Korean trader who is being ordered by his commander to hunt this tiger, or his commander will turn him in as a traitor. But then he kind of just gives all the jobs to other people and just doesn't do anything for the movie.
Yeah.
And it's like, he's not the best character, but like I feel it's just kind of underdeveloped, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, they could have done more with him, I feel like. Because the stakes are pretty high for him as well. But you don't really feel it in any of his actions. He's always
I'd say so.
He's always just bringing people in and saying, hunt better.
And basically the commander just comes in and takes over anyway, and then he's kind of just...
I feel like maybe the Japanese soldiers are a bit too nice in this film.
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe the stakes could have been raised if they were a bit more dickish about like the Korean people's failures at catching this tiger. Because they do reprimand them, but they don't really punish them severely.
Not like in Age of Shadows.
It's not like... But I guess at the end of the day, it's just a tiger. Or is it a symbol of the Japanese army trying to extinguish the last hope of Koreans?
I did really like the tiger scene where it's like all foggy because the Japanese army...
The tiger is basically being Batman.
Yeah. Like in that scene, it kind of made more sense that there would be like a large massacre because like, you can't see it.
What do you think about the visual effects on the tiger?
Yeah, I think they're all right. I mean, obviously I could tell that it was CGI, and I did find myself feeling for the tigers when, you needed to, like after it had killed its cubs.
Yeah, I felt like there was a lot of emotion coming from the tiger. Or the tigers.
Because I think it's just the subtext is told pretty well. So I do think the CGI is actually pretty good. Just like kind of thinking about it now, it's probably not as maybe clean as maybe, I don't know, The Lion King, but people didn't. It's not a Disney movie with a massive budget.
Yeah, I don't know though. Like from what I've heard of the Lion King remake, I haven't seen it, but I've heard like the lions not being able to emote was a pretty big problem in the live action remake.
Yeah, whereas this one you can get the emotion just from like the shots and the context.
Yeah, I don't know if that's a visual effects thing or if it's just a storytelling thing.
I think it's the storytelling.
Yeah.
You can kind of get away. Let's say, like, if we talk about Love and Peace, for example, that's not shit special effects, but it doesn't look real. No. But because the story is good, you follow it.
And they're following a certain aesthetic as well. The only time I really was like, oh, actually, the VFX are not great is when the wolves came in, and there were a lot of wolves, and I was like, oh, it's a bit janky, isn't it?
Yeah.
Would you recommend this film?
I would recommend this movie. It's a good watch. It is an epic story, and it does have some really good, cinematography.
The scenery is really nice as well.
And you got some good acting from Choi Min-sik. His guttural coughing.
He's also pretty understated for him. Like, it's a bit of a softer character for him to play. Like, he does, he kind of has this balance of like overprotective dad, but you can see that he loves his son as well.
Yeah, and I think I would recommend it because just the story and the premise is cool. Like, there's not too many of these kind of movies.
All right. Well, yeah. I mean, The Tiger, yeah, it's a pretty good watch. If you're looking for an action film, this is not it. But if you're looking for something maybe perhaps a bit more meaningful with a bit of action in it, yeah, I think it's a fun watch. Shall we talk spoilers?
What did you think about the son's death?
I wasn't expecting it.
They were kind of teasing that he might survive until he basically gets dragged away by the wolves after he's mauled by the tiger, because the tiger lets him go at first. Because I think the tiger senses that he is the son of Chun Man-duk, but, that's just movie. But, it's good for the story. But then the son panics and tries to shoot the tiger and gets mauled off screen. And I think there's a chance for him to be rescued by Gu-yong, but he kind of just leaves him behind.
I don't know, though. I feel like he's pretty badly injured. I feel when I saw that he'd been mauled the first time, I was like, this is the 1920s. He's probably not going to be able to live through that. And then he gets dragged away by wolves.
And, half eaten by the wolves. And, this kid's going to die. But he gets rescued for, a moment by the tiger, who feels bad. He's like, oh, sorry, man. And the kid's like, yeah, I'm going to die. And then, he brings back the body of the son back to Man-duk.
Sure. I thought that was going to be, the catalyst for Man-duk to get involved in the hunt. And it kind of is, but it's also not really. It doesn't really anger Man-duk.
It's kind of it makes him... You don't really know how it's going to motivate, because you don't really want to kill the tiger after that, because they had a moment...
Yeah.
Because basically, Man-duk had killed his wife accidentally on a hunt because the tiger was heading into town, and he got spooked by his wife, and he shot her in the throat.
Right. Yeah.
So that's the big reason for Man-duk to not kind of go and chase this tiger. But also, he rescued the tiger when it was a cub, because he shot the mountain lord's mother or father, not sure. But yeah, basically, the parent he killed and left the cubs alone, but he kind of rescues the cubs.
Yeah.
Where Gu-yong is like, oh, let's kill these bastards. We can get some money, we can get some good money.
Right.
And Choi Min-suk's just like, nah, you gotta take what you can from the mountain, but also respect it. Don't be greedy, which may have been one of the messages of this film.
Yeah, it's a pretty big theme, the environmentalism theme, just respecting nature in general.
Yeah, but then the Japs just come and just fucking cannon the whole fucking forest.
They dynamite all the trees down. Yeah.
Which leads to probably the best action sequence in the movie, where the tiger does actually get shot a couple of times, but he's just tank.
Yeah.
But he gets badly injured, which is going to happen when you've got soldiers who are with guns.
Yeah. But he does wreck them though. Before.
Yeah, he does. I think that scene kind of suspended my disbelief a bit more than the first one, because these guys are kind of more trained, I suppose. But just the fogginess, as you said, doing the Batman thing.
Yeah.
Kind of,
it's the part that where I was I laughed out loud was when it drops a body from the trees, and then they look up in the trees and he pounces from the trees. How the fuck did he get up there? This tiger's the Predator or something.
Yeah, basically, yeah. But yeah, what point was I making before about the tiger?
How Man-duk doesn't really have motivation to hunt him.
Yeah, and I think that's the issue. Man-duk is not really motivated to do anything. He's just kind of sad. And I mean, he's not lazy. He has his reasons. But even when his son goes away, he doesn't even go straight away. He's just moping. Yeah, and then
the only reason he goes to hunt the tiger and kill him is because the tiger basically asks him to, right?
Yeah, that's right. It's kind of the tiger's I think we need to push this movie along somehow, man. So, all right, I'll come kill you.
Yeah, basically.
I guess the confrontation in the end is cool, but maybe
it doesn't come from a very emotional place, I think. Yeah, I think you're right. A big selling point for these kinds of films is when the two characters facing off against each other have like a score to settle and have like maybe some kind of revenge motivation or are like angry towards each other. But in this movie, these two characters don't really have that. They have like mutual respect almost.
They're not the antagonists to each other, you know? I mean, the antagonists are just the Japs, really.
And the scarred guy, probably. Like, he's got much more motivation to hunt this tiger down because he's more angry at the tiger for having killed his brother and giving him a nasty scar.
Do you think he is worthy of his redemption scene?
Does he get redeemed? I don't think he gets redeemed.
I think they try to because, like, the soccer coach guy is kind of like, oh, man. But for the whole movie, he's just basically telling the guy off. Well, constantly.
Yeah, he's kind of this character that lets vengeance cloud his judgment and his ethics a bit. Like, he's basically... He's a big reason why the son gets killed in the first place. Because, he just really wants to catch this tiger. He gets a whole bunch of Japanese soldiers killed as well, just so, like, he can tie the tiger out or something.
I almost think that his character, though he doesn't get redemption, has a more interesting story. Because you understand why he does this stuff. You know?
It's a tiger at the end of the day, right? Like, and it killed his brother, so of course he'd want to kill this tiger. You can kind of get bogged down in all that respect of nature stuff, but like the motherfucker killed his brother.
Obviously, a real tiger wouldn't give us any respect. They'd just kill him. Like, we just look at it as like, hey man, and it'll just slash our throats.
Sure. I think
like, oh well.
Maybe in a way they kind of did get trapped by their message of like respecting nature, and that kind of took away the emotion out of the tiger Man-sik rivalry. Maybe it would have been more effective if Gu-gyong was the main character rather than Man-sik. It would have been a different film, though.
I think the director wanted to go more for a human story.
More sentimental.
Maybe, I don't know, it didn't quite work in this sense. It's definitely a little less exciting.
It's very dramatic at the end.
The end is cool. Like, it's, they're just like staring at each other and then they like pounce at each other. But I feel like that ending could have had so much more impact if there was like this feud between both of them, like maybe it's the tiger's like viciousness and that ends up bringing these fucking Japanese people to bomb his forest and kill his cubs. And maybe like, Man-sik is like really wants to kill this tiger because ages ago, it killed, his wife or whatever. And there's just this rivalry that ends up costing them more and more. Maybe Man-sik does like.
I guess like I Saw the Devil. It sounds like you're describing I Saw the Devil.
You know what? That's true. Actually, it's funny because the director wrote. The same movie. Maybe he was writing that screenplay, and then he realized, oh shit, I'm just writing I Saw the Devil, but with the tiger.
It's true. I guess they wanted to go in a different direction for this one. Kind of a more sentimental direction. Which, maybe it's just not what we wanted to watch. Like, we probably should, judge the movie based on what it is rather than what we wanted from it.
It sounds like I don't like this movie. I do like this movie. I think it was a good watch. Like I said, I'd definitely recommend it to people. Still got some stellar performances from Min-sik. And even like the tiger CGI is good. And like, just the story. It's just very interesting. Yeah,
the tiger action is good as well. The cinematography is good. There are some themes in there as well. Like, it's not an overly deep film. It's not very subtle either about anything.
Not really.
But it's a good watch. The Japanese soldiers are not overly villainized, but
maybe, as you said, maybe not villainized enough. I was expecting like more villainy, like the usual ratty guy with like bucked front teeth and glasses. Who was just like slap people with a whip.
Even the main the main general or whatever, the guy with the mustache, he's pretty mean, but he's not like an outright villain, I guess. Yeah, like he does bomb the forest, but he doesn't really punish any of the humans. When the hunters ask him for more troops, he's like, yeah, let's give him more troops.
Yeah.
I guess he too is obsessed with catching this tiger, or almost
but
as
you
much
don't really
as
see much of his obsession. Like, maybe he should have had an arc where, like, you can see his obsession with the tiger, like, cloud the judgment of, I don't know, his rule or whatever. But maybe that would have been just too much.
Yeah, I think
maybe it should have involved the traitor Korean guy a bit more.
Yeah.
Make him really ratty just to see how far he's turned his back on his people.
Well, I think his character was kind of there to just like say, it's a tiger, man. It's not worth all of this. Whereas that kind of contrast with the Japanese generals, like drive to catch this tiger for whatever reason. I feel like the reason is probably implied that it's like something to do with like Japanese pride, maybe, or like because
maybe
he just wants to catch the tiger. It's he's like stuck in this mountain, and like they're fighting a war, I guess, and I don't know. Maybe it's got something to do with crushing like the spirit of the Korean citizens, because the Koreans love this tiger as well.
Yeah, it's definitely some kind of metaphor of like, imperialism of the Japanese and the crushing of the Korean spirit, but the spirit like fighting back with as much, viciousness as it can.
Yeah, you can kind of see that in the scenes like when they kill the mum and the cubs, and then they all take that photo, and all of the Korean citizens are kind of just watching them take this like really disrespectful photo. So you do see like elements of that theme kind of pop up here and there. Again, it's not overly subtle, but it's not overplayed either. Yeah, much like the theme of like environmentalism that runs throughout the film. It's not subtle, but it doesn't really take over the film. At the end of the day, it's I saw the devil with a tiger.
With a tiger. I'm not sure if I've got much more to say about this movie. Maybe we can wrap this one up. Maybe give it a bit of a shorter one for a change.
Sure. What do you guys think of this film, The Tiger? Would you have rather see a more visceral rivalry between the main character and the tiger, or did you prefer the kind of slow burn and sentimentality of this film? How's your Lunar New Year going? How are you celebrating it?
Yeah, that's right. It's Lunar New Year.
Happy Year of the Tiger, everyone. I hope you're having a good one. You can leave your comments below, or you can get in touch with us at twoasianblokes@gmail.com, or you can join our Facebook group to be part of the conversation. Thank you for listening as always, guys. Until next time.
I mean, let us know if you actually watched this movie. It's pretty old now.
It's pretty old, yeah. Kind of flew under the radar, I think. That reminds me. There's a Japanese film festival coming up, Tavi. Did you know?
Yeah, I know about that.
Are you going to be watching it? Do you have any recommendations?
Yeah, I think I've seen one of the films from there. It was all right, but I'll probably have a check out, and maybe we can review one of them.
Yeah.
Because it's always good.
Those that are interested in watching the Japanese Film Festival, you can watch it online. It starts on the 14th of February, so Valentine's Day, I guess. Just Google it if you're interested.
Yeah, no, I'll try to check some films out, because, that's my jam.
Yeah, we'll probably cover some of the films after it happens, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
See you later, guys.
All right, until next time. Bye-bye.